Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to the English App with Mr. Hudson. Today, we happen to have a very good friend of mine who goes by the name Miss Natalia Rodriguez. We're going to delve into a very delicate subject that has to do with obsessive compulsive disorder, also known as OCD. So, without much ado, I would like her to introduce herself and we're going to start with the conversation. Hello, Miss.
Hello, Hudson. It's really good to see you again, and I'm really happy to be here with you. Yes, as you said, my name's Natalia, and I'm an English teacher. I don't know if I must say how old I am. Is it okay if I say no? I don't want to say that. And yeah, I just teach English. I love music. I love singing. I love my family. So that's basically what I can say so far.
Great, great. You know, within every society, people are facing a lot of challenges, irrespective of where they find themselves. And one of the challenges some people, someone might be facing is OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So today we happen to have this very good friend of mine who, in her own accord, she would like to share her experience. She would like to educate us on how, you know, we can deal with such a situation. So, the first question I would like to put across is, do you know anyone who is living with OCD?
Yeah, this is kind of relative. This is a nephew of my step grandfather's, and I remember because it was a long time ago that I knew he was diagnosed with this. And there's many kinds, but the type he had at that time that I remember was when he was 8 years old, and he was very violent, like very aggressive, and he was all the time fearing that he would harm others and also himself. So basically, yeah, it was a very bad issue that he had,
Mm.
and an illness he was facing. Yeah,
Uh,
that's one of the people I know. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, like since it's a family of yours, it's really hard, you know, to deal with such a situation. But then once the person is close to you, you find a way of helping the person come out of that situation or that disorder that he or she might have faced. Yeah. So I would like to know if in your research or in your own perspective, what is the difference between being obsessed or obsession and compulsion? Is there a difference between those two?
Yes, basically, an obsession, we could say it's the first part of this disorder. Is these disturbing thoughts, these intrusive thoughts, yeah, and unwanted thoughts that you can have, images sometimes, or feelings that you can also have. And also, these compulsions are sometimes confused, yeah, with, and they are sometimes compared to obsessions, but compulsions are the second part. So it's what you do to counteract, in order to counteract, or in order to reduce or decrease, or sometimes even neutralize the obsession. So basically, that's like repetitive thoughts or repetitive behaviors that you do in order to avoid also sometimes these obsessions. That would be
So,
it.
talking about obsessions, as a teacher of English,
Mhm.
being obsessed about learning English is a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing. Sometimes that's what sometimes people think. Most of us can have this OCD, but some people confuse it with the fact that they're obsessed with something. But if I say I love English and I'm all the time listening to music in English, watching movies in English, or if I like music and I'm all the time listening to it, it's not something negative, so it cannot be counted as an obsession, as this disorder. No, it's just something positive, so we cannot compare them or confuse them. So yeah, it's something totally different. It's
Oh, okay.
like an example. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So initially you were telling me, a family member of yours um, went through such a situation. Would you like to share with us how it manifested itself, and is there anything one can do to help such a person, or was there anything you did to help your family member in such a situation?
Yes, I remember when at first when he was diagnosed with this, there were only two main treatments. One of them was medication, because it is said that you cannot, avoid this, or it doesn't have a cure, yeah, or you cannot even do it on your own, like help yourself. It's not possible. But one of the treatments I remember he was taking was medication, and the other one was psychological help. So he was going exactly looking for this kind of help. And yeah, one way that I remember this was manifested was that he was all the time telling his family that he was afraid, he was scared of harming himself. And he was all the time, like clenching his fist all the time, and he was being really aggressive. The words that he used were all the time rude, and he, he would look at you in the eye, but in a very badly way, in an aggressive way. So you would, recognize this from, kilometers, that he was an aggressive person. And then, yeah, that was when he was diagnosed, and also found this kind of help. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, and what are some of the symptoms or the signs that you saw that you realized that this might be somebody suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder? So I would like you to share with us some of the signs that once you see those signs, you might go like, I think it's time we see a therapist, or we take you to a doctor or a specialist who can help you, in dealing with such a situation. In this case, a person suffering from OCD, that is obsessive compulsive disorder. So can you share with us, some of the signs you saw with your family member when he was, in such quote unquote such a situation?
Yes, of course. Some of the signs was that once his parents found him cutting himself, and also fighting at school. He was also fighting with his classmates, and he was always trying to hurt ladies. I remember that was like, yeah, very serious. It was very serious at that time. And those were the first signs they found. And when you ask me about other signs, as you know, there are many other types, also not only aggressive ones. You can also find the one about checking things, like all the time. I don't know if this has happened to you, but I know someone who does this all the time. And this is my sister. She's it doesn't mean that she has this, but at some point we'll have some OCD. She's all the time checking if she closed the door, if she locks it in the middle of the night. So she keeps standing up, not many times, but it's something she constantly do. She constantly does. So she's all the time, oh my gosh, did I lock the door? Or no, we're going to be unsafe, and did I do it? So she's all the time wondering if she did. or she didn't. So that's one of them. The other one is, this fear of contamination, which is another type of obsession that you can find. It's a sign when you start, for example, washing your hands all the time. Like, oh, I came into contact with dirt, or I came into contact with a dog, so I need to go and wash my hands all the time. Or I cannot even have, a contact with also body fluids, which is something that also happens. So I don't want to touch anything if I don't wash my hands like right now. So, and it feels just right for you. That's when you see, and that's the sign when you know, or you can see or recognize that you are having this OCD. Or also when you are avoiding the situation. This is also another sign when you want to avoid this, because you know that this will trigger this compulsive thought. So those are some of the signs that you can find. Also, there's another one. We have contamination. Let me see if I remember the others. There are also sexual compulsion behaviors that we can find in people. There are some cases in which the person is not violent, but the person is afraid of maybe, harass someone, but on impulse, and the person is maybe having these unwanted thoughts. That's another one. Or sometimes with, in terms of religion, these people who say that they, are thinking of bad things, or maybe offending God, and then they are saying no, and trying to cancel the bad words and changing them, exactly. So there are many types. So I think this happens to people of all ages and walks of life. So yeah, those are some of the signs you can find.
Yeah. As a teacher, sometimes after teaching, you go home and you go like, I think what I thought wasn't the right thing. But then you also have a second thought that you did the right thing, and then you go like, no, I think I didn't do the right thing. So sometimes once you go home and you kind of reflect on whatever you thought during the day, you go like, I think I made an impact, or I think I didn't make an impact. Yeah, so the question I would like to ask is, in your own view, or in your own way, has there ever been a situation where you've suffered from, any of these disorders?
Yeah, I would say yes. And it's this fear that I was telling you about contamination. I was, dealing with this. And whenever I have a dog. So whenever I touch it, I'm like, okay, now I have germs on my hands. So I cannot eat or touch even, like anything, because I feel this is really going to contaminate everything I touch. So sometimes I try to say, okay, no, that's maybe I'm overreacting. This is not gonna happen. That's one of the things, that I was, constantly dealing with or struggling. But there was also another one that was worrying me the most, which was about thinking, that something negative could happen to my loved ones.
Mm.
And this is one that is very concerning. And I know it's something that maybe we all have thought at a certain point, that we have that fear that maybe something bad can happen to the people we love.
Yeah.
But if it's something that gets in the way, of the activities, maybe, or your daily activities, and you have to stop because this doesn't allow you, to do the daily activities, and this just interrupts you, it's because it's something serious. So it's not just an obsessive thought. No, it's becoming something serious when you're all the time, okay, just let me know if you arrive, if you're okay. And it was something that I was also facing when my husband just left a place. He left work, so he called me, okay, I'm going home. but I had this scene in my head, like, oh my gosh, I hope nothing bad happens to him, so I hope this scene is showing up becoming repetitive. And I realized that everything you see in is part of the result, or who you are. So I just once told my husband, I don't want to keep, to go on watching these documentaries about criminals or killers, because I know this was a result of everything I saw. So I was telling him, no more, no, let's watch something different. I was, obsessed with watching these documentaries and horror movies, and I was like, yes, let's watch this one, and it's a nice one. But then when we changed and when we started seeing different things, I realized this changed. This definitely changed, and yeah, those were two things I was like dealing with.
Okay, great, great. Thanks for sharing that. Um, it is believed that um, a problem shared is half solved. Yeah. So once you share whatever situation that you feel it's unbearable that you're going through, once you share it with somebody, you know, believe you me, that person might have a solution. Yeah. So once we share something, it is half solved in some way. Yeah. So one first thing I would like to put across is how can one overcome his or her obsession and compulsion? At the same time, how can one overcome that?
That's a very good question. And I was okay I remember when I was dealing with this fear that I was telling you. I remember I'm a person who believes in God. I believe in Him, and in this thing about the medication and psychological help. Honestly, I haven't looked for this kind of help. But there was something I was starting to do, and I would pray, like, yeah, like asking God, like, to help me avoid these thoughts and try to calm down, to stay calm. But that for me is really something that helped me, and out of this. That's one thing that maybe was not a temporary solution, but it really was a solution for me. I don't know, in months, I think I have stopped, having these unwanted thoughts that something bad's gonna happen, since I started, doing this, like asking God and praying. This is something that just stopped, but I could say that's something that helped me overcome this situation. And yeah, that's something that really helped me.
Great, great. Thanks for sharing that with us. I hope it's gonna be helpful, and then useful for any other person that might chance upon this video. Yes. Okay. Next, we're gonna talk about habits. Everyone has habits. Irrespective of who you are. You might be a good person. You might be a bad person. Habits could be bad or it could be good. Depending on how you're looking, it from. You know, somebody might see your good habits as something that is not good for him. Yeah. So the question I would like to put across is, do you have any bad habits?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the worst is going to bed really late, not having this, regular sleeping schedule. I really hate that. So that's one of the worst ones I can say I have. Yeah, definitely. Maybe, do you want me to say another one?
Yeah.
Or just one? Let me think. Yeah, definitely. That's one of them. There's one that I'm trying to to improve something, and which is to do exercise, not to be too sedentary, which is something that I definitely hate too. I love exercise, and I really love working out, but I stopped, and now I'm sitting like all the time, and it's something I'm also trying to get rid of this, this laziness of doing exercise or being active. So I'm trying to also to be more active, and try to walk, or maybe to take a break, because sometimes I'm sitting here, working, giving classes. We are teachers, so I'm giving back-to-back classes, and then I say, no, I need 5 minutes. I'm going to walk. I'm going to, I don't know, maybe jog a little bit, go and drink water, which is something I'm trying to do. In fact, I just carry it with me all the time, so I can drink enough water all day. So yeah, those are one
Okay.
of the bad habits. So, yeah.
Being a teacher, we all have ways of, teaching our students and making sure they develop the right habits, in studying. So as a teacher, what can you advise your students on in terms of, some of the good habits to use or to inculcate in yourself whenever you are studying? What are some of them that you can share with us?
Like to parents, if I would advise.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them, I think, is having a healthy lifestyle. Like waking up early. That's one of the most important, I think, because if they start to learn that there are certain rules in having a healthy lifestyle, they're going to understand, like, not just one thing about waking up early, but also eating healthily, doing exercise, and also having these positive thoughts, which is part of your healthy lifestyle. So I could say that's one of the most important that can be said in taught to a child. Yeah. And respect also. Definitely, that's another one which is very important and fundamental.
Okay. Sometimes our environment influences our lives really, 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 uh, in a good way or in a bad way. Yeah. So the question I would like to put across is, are we born with our bad habits, or do we acquire them from, our environment, things that surround us? Um, do you think, there is a link there's a link between our habits and the environment, or is something that is innate that we are born with?
I think both of them, because I think we're born with them as human beings, and then we're going to learn the good ones to avoid these bad habits, and also from the environment. Yeah, definitely. If we see our parents waking up at 11 a.m., we're definitely going to do it. So I think both of them, we're born with them, and we are taught the good ones, and also we get the ones from our environment. So definitely, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay. So we're coming to the end of this awesome session, sharing your thoughts about, OCD and habits, and also, influencing us in a good way with your thoughts about, your knowledge and everything. Um, One may ask, Miss Natalia, or Matis, if I may call you, um, what is your personal mantra in life?
I have two that I could say I always repeat to myself. One of them is, I have everything I need. That's one of the most important to me. And another one I also, repeat to myself is, when you forgive not only others, but also yourself, then you're free. Those are, yeah,
That's right.
most important to me. Thank you.
All right. We're signing out, and I would like to know if you have any, tips for people that will be listening to this or watching this video. What are some of the tips you can give them to improve upon, their learning process? What can you say?
One of them is something very important you said before, you mentioned, which is the acceptance. If maybe we're facing something, it's important, not to feel ashamed of the problem we have, because the first step is to admit having the problem. Because as I said before, at some point in our lives, yeah, we have some OCD, maybe even though we're not, diagnosed with this. But the first step, if maybe we're recognizing that we have it, or we're having some symptoms or presenting, some signs of it, it's really good to talk to somebody, to try to look for, help. It can be, of course, from someone who is an expert, and that's very important. And also believe that you're going to get through this, and you're not the only person maybe who might be facing this. This is very important. There are many people, most of people face this situation, but maybe some of us didn't know it in the beginning, and it's good to admit having it, and then start to work in it. And yeah, I would say that's one of the tips. And regarding the habits, wake up early, but of course go to bed early too. It's really important to get, enough rest, enough sleep, enough water, because we live only once. And something my dad always says to me is, your body is going to charge you for everything you do to it, when you're young. So this is very, very important. And yes, you are what you see, you are what you eat. So let's try to be surrounded by good energy, by good things, by, positive people. And yeah, that's something I can say.
Oh,
And also, I'm really happy to be here, to see you again. And yes, thank you very much for this invitation. It was really, really nice talking
thank,
about this.
thank you, Miss Natalia. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.